So we want to use mutations to change our state. So let's go to the store.js file and add some mutations like getters and state. This of course is a reserved property name which Vuex will detect and recognize. And now mutations is again a list or just a couple of methods we can execute. For example, let's add the increment mutation. The increment mutation takes the state as input, like a getter, but here of course we don't return it, instead we change it. So here we say state plus plus, a state counter, counter plus plus, for example. Now we also want to have a decrement mutation, so I'll add this, decrement, where I then decrement the counter. Now we centralize this functionality too. Now we only have one place where we do call this, here in counter. But if we would call that from multiple components again, then we would have the advantage of having a central place. So let's actually simulate this by creating a new file which I'll name another counter.vue now. And another counter basically just, copies the code from counter in here. And in app.vue file, I of course now also want to import another counter and add it as a component here. So let's add app another counter and also add it up here so that we get these two counters in place. So app another counter. Now we got the two counters. Now let's use our mutations. We could use a mutation like this. We access our store like before, and then we simply can commit, as you learned it, a mutation by running commit and then the name of the mutation as a string. That's important, as a string. So here we have increment, and Vuex will then search for a method named increment in our store.js mutations object and will then execute this method and pass the state automatically, so we don't have to do that. That's always true. The state is passed automatically by Vuex. This is why we imported this third-party package in the first place. So I use this setup. Then for decrementing, I use decrement. I see your face. That's not really getting shorter, does it? But we'll soon find a way to decrease the number of characters we're writing here. And with all that in place, if I now reload this, you now see I got a couple of buttons and I can all click them and they all work here. They all adjust our central store now through mutations which we commit. Though as with getters, we do have the problem that we're repeating this code here over and over again. So it would be nice, as with map getters, if we could somehow map our mutations. So turns out we can do this, and actually it works exactly as map getters worked. We have to import this helper method, import map mutations from Vuex. So import this. And then you can either replace all your methods with map mutations, but since you probably also want to have your own methods mixed with the mapped mutations here, the better way is to use the three dots again, map mutations, and then as an argument, you again pass an array where you have the names of the mutations you want to map, like increment and decrement. So you can write this all like this. And if you write it like this, then calling these methods up here will automatically work since these are the same names. So I will quickly copy the code from here into another counter and replace it here too. And now let's see if this reloads. It still works as before, but now I think you agree it's much shorter since we map our mutations automatically, and it has the big advantage that if we want to change the way we adjust our state, let's say we want to automatically increase this by 2, or that would not be valid syntax, but let's say you want to run some calculation here and do more than just increment it, then you only have to change it in one place here and not all over your application again. So like with getters, we're now making sure that our changing the state code is in one central place and that we got easy access to these change functions or to these mutations by having the map mutations helper method, which basically gives us easy access to these functions.